Have you ever found yourself pulling away from someone who genuinely loved you? Or maybe you've wondered why your partner seems emotionally distant, even though they say they love you. Sometimes the issue isn't a lack of love, it's unresolved pain. And the pain speaks before you do. I explain how emotional wounds from childhood, past relationships, rejection, and grief don't simply disappear with time. If they aren't healed, they often show up in your closest relationships. One of the biggest misconceptions about relationships is that love alone heals emotional wounds. Love is powerful, but love doesn't automatically erase trauma. If someone has been betrayed before, abandoned, rejected, or emotionally neglected, those experiences can quietly shape how they respond to love. Sometimes they become suspicious of kindness. Sometimes they expect rejection before it ever happens. Sometimes they build walls instead of bridges. Not because they don't love you, but because they're trying to protect themselves from being hurt. How many of you can say that what I'm reading right now, I've scripted it so I can make sure it's great, it's good for you too, that you're yourself experiencing that, or you're seeing that in your partner? One of the ways emotional pain shows up is through withdrawal. Some people don't yell. They disappear emotionally. They become quiet. They avoid difficult conversations. They stop being vulnerable. To the other person, it may feel like they don't care, but often they're overwhelmed by fear. The fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of being hurt again. So they create distance, believing distance is safer than intimacy. But those emotional walls that were built for protection can eventually become barriers to connections. Healing in a relationship isn't about winning arguments. It's about creating an environment where both people feel safe enough to be honest. Sometimes your spouse doesn't need another lecture. Sometimes they simply just need your presence. Sometimes they need to know they can tell the truth without being judged. Healing begins when love creates safety instead of fear. That doesn't mean ignoring unhealthy behavior or avoiding accountability. Healthy relationships still need honesty, boundaries, and responsibility. But healing is much more likely when people feel secure enough to be open. The Bible tells us in Ephesians 4, verses 2 to 3, "Be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love." And in 1 John 4:18, "Perfect love drives out fear." Healthy love creates room for the truth. It doesn't ignore pain. It walks through it together. If you've noticed yourself withdrawing from the people you love, don't just ask. What's wrong with my relationship? Ask, what pain am I still carrying? Healing doesn't happen because time passes. Healing happens when we invite God into the places we've been afraid to face. The goal isn't simply to have a lasting relationship. The goal is to become emotionally healthy enough to truly experience love. If this message encouraged you, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who may need hope today. And if you'd like to explore these topics more deeply, The Pain Speaks Before You Do, which is a book that I wrote, walks through how emotional wounds affect our lives and how healing can restore both us and our relationships. Remember, the strongest relationships aren't built by perfect people. They're built by people who are willing to heal together.